Hey everyone, and welcome back to HOA Karma Tales. If you're new here, we're the channel that shines a light on the petty tyrants who think a little bit of authority gives them the right to ruin your life. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I read every single one. Let's set the scene. A quiet, tree-lined street in the suburb of Oak Haven. A woman in a stark white pantsuit is standing on a pristine lawn, pointing a perfectly manicured finger at a beautiful, custom-built wooden structure attached to a house. It's not a deck. It's not a shed. It's a Catio, an enclosed patio for cats, complete with climbing shelves, a hammock, and a very content-looking ginger tabby snoozing in the sun. This is an unapproved, unsightly shack asterisk, the woman declares to a camera crew she did not invite. It's a blight on our property values and a clear violation of our aesthetic standards. That's the sound of HOA Architectural Committee Chair Deborah Devi Whitlock publicly self-destructing. She thought she was giving a commanding interview defending her neighborhood's strict rules. What she was actually doing was providing a prime-time news segment with all the evidence needed to paint her as a cruel, out-of-touch monster who hates cats and common sense. What Devi didn't know was that the homeowner, a quiet graphic designer named Maya, had already forwarded every threatening email, every absurd fine, and every voicemail to an investigative reporter who loved a good underdog or undercat story. That $250 fine for an unauthorized structure was about to trigger a PR nightmare that would cost the HOA thousands, get Devi voted out in a landslide of humiliation, and turn a simple Catio into a national symbol of animal welfare versus bureaucratic insanity. What would you do if your HOA told you to tear down a safe haven for your pet? Let me know in the comments below. Now, let's meet our hero. Maya Santos, 32, was a freelance graphic designer whose work was precise, creative, and quiet. She was the person you hired to make something complicated look simple and beautiful. She lived with her two beloved rescue cats, Leo, a dignified ginger tabby, and Luna, a mischievous black kitten with more energy than a power plant. Maya's world was her home office, her art, and the well-being of her furry companions. After Luna's third daring and terrifying attempt to climb the window screen to get at a bird, Maya knew she had a problem. She wanted her cats to experience the outdoors safely. No cars, no coyotes, no getting lost. The solution was a Catio. She didn't just buy a pre-made kit, she designed it herself. It was a work of art, stained a tasteful forest green to match the garden trellises, with sleek black mesh screening, built-in planter boxes for cat grass, and even a little shingled roof. It wasn't an eyesore, it was a feature. The soft chirping of her cats as they watched birds from the safety of their palace was the sound of peace of mind. Their antagonist was Deborah Devi Whitlock. If Oak Haven had royalty, Devi was it. As the long-standing chair of the HOA's Architectural Review Committee, ARC, she held the power of approval over every paint chip, mailbox, and garden gnome. A retired interior designer, she treated the neighborhood as her personal dollhouse, and the residents were the dolls she could arrange as she saw fit. Her motive was a toxic cocktail of aesthetic obsession and a deep-seated need for control. She didn't just want a nice neighborhood. She wanted a sterile, silent museum piece replica of a neighborhood where nothing unpredictable like the joy of a pet could disrupt her vision. The first shot fired wasn't a letter. It was an email. The subject line was chilling in its corporate simplicity. Notice of architectural violation property of M. Santos. Maya's heart sank as she read it. Dear resident, it has come to the attention of the Architectural Review Committee that an unapproved external structure has been erected on your property. The structure in question, a screened enclosure attached to the rear side of the dwelling, violates Covenant 7.4. No structure of a temporary or permanent nature shall be attached to any dwelling without prior written ARC approval. You are hereby ordered to dismantle and remove this structure within 14 days. Furthermore, a fine of $250 is levied for the violation. with an additional $50 per day until compliance is verified. Sincerely, Deborah Whitlock, ARC Chair. Myers' first move was reasonable, even deferential. She assumed it was a misunderstanding. She replied with photos of the Catio, her design sketches, and a polite explanation. Dear Miss Whitlock, thank you for your email. I believe there may be a misunderstanding. This is a Catio, or cat patio, a safe outdoor enclosure for indoor pets. It is not a temporary shed or storage unit. As you can see from the pictures, it is professionally built and stained to match the house's trim. It is entirely screened and, in my opinion, enhances the property's value by providing a thoughtful solution for pet owners. I am happy to formally submit the design plans for retroactive approval. Best, Maya Santos. Devi's response was swift and ice-cold. It bypassed all pretext of courtesy. Ms. Santos, there is no misunderstanding. The ARC does not recognize Catios as permissible structures. It is an eyesore and sets a dangerous precedent. We cannot have residents building random wooden cages on their properties. The decision is final. Dismantle it, or the fines will continue to accrue. Furthermore, your choice of stain is not from the approved color palette. You will need to repaint it in an approved shade should you choose to appeal, which I do not recommend. Maya felt a hot flush of anger. Eyesore, random wooden cage. She looked at her beautiful, handcrafted structure. Leo was blissfully stretched out on his hammock, bathing in a sunbeam. This wasn't about rules. This was a personal vendetta against something Devi didn't understand or approve of. The harassment escalated. The fines began accruing. $300, $350, $400. Devi started taking compliance inspection walks, peering over Maya's fence with a disapproving glare. She posted on the neighborhood's private next-door group, not naming names, but making her position clear. A reminder to all residents that the ARC's rules are in place to protect everyone's investment. We must be vigilant against trendy structures that compromise our community's curated aesthetic. Maya's quiet nature began to harden into resolve. Her secret weapon wasn't a law degree, it was her creativity and her deep understanding of visual storytelling. She stopped arguing and started documenting. Everything. She saved every email. She recorded the daily fine counter on her fridge. She took time-stamped photos of the Catio from every angle, proving its quality and how well it blended with the garden. Her key ally emerged from the most unlikely place, her local vet's office. During a routine checkup, Maya vented to Dr. Evans, a kind-eyed woman in her 50s who knew both Leo and Luna well. Devi Whitlock, Dr. Evans said, her face darkening. She tried to get the community to ban pets over £20 a few years back, said they were unsightly. She's a piece of work. You know, I have a client who's a producer at Channel 6 News. They love stories like this little guy versus the heartless bureaucracy, especially when there's a cute animal involved. A spark ignited in Maya's mind. This wasn't just a legal fight. It was a PR fight, and Devi was about to be outmaneuvered. Maya reached out to the producer, a sharp, energetic woman named Sarah. She didn't just complain, she presented a story. She sent Sarah the portfolio of photos of the beautiful Catio, juxtaposed with screenshots of Devi's emails, calling it an eyesore and a wooden cage. She explained the accruing fines and the threat to her cat's well-being. Sarah was instantly hooked. The climax was orchestrated with quiet precision. Sarah, the producer, called the HOA management company for a comment on a story about pet safety and HOA regulations. Of course, the call was routed straight to Devi, who saw not a threat, but a platform. The news van arrived on a Tuesday morning. Devi was waiting for them, preened and ready for her close-up, believing she was about to be vindicated as a noble defender of property values. Maya watched from her window, her heart pounding. her own phone recording the entire interaction from behind the glass. The reporter, a young man with an earnest face, held out his microphone. "Miss Whitlock, can you explain the HOA's position on the structure behind you?" Devi launched into her rehearsed speech, gesturing dismissively at the Catio. "This is about upholding standards. We can't have people just building shacks, willy-nilly. It looks unkempt. It attracts pests. It's a safety hazard, and it absolutely decimates the curb appeal of this entire street. So, it's your assertion that this enclosed patio is a shack that lowers property values?" the reporter asked, leading her gently into the abyss. "Absolutely. Look at it. It's a glorified chicken coop," Devi declared, her voice dripping with contempt. "We have rules for a reason. If we make an exception for this, what's next? Someone will want to build a dog run or a playground. This is a quiet adult community, not a zoo." Inside, Leo, as if on cue, stretched luxuriously in his hammock, yawned, and began meticulously washing his paws. The camera zoomed in. He was the picture of harmless, contented bliss. The reporter then turned to Maya, who had stepped outside. "Miss Santos, your response?" Maya, though nervous, was calm. She spoke not with anger, but with devastating logic and heart. "This isn't a shack. It's a safely enclosed space that allows my rescue cats to experience the outdoors without being hit by cars or attacked by wildlife. I designed it to be attractive and to match my home. I offered to submit the plans. The ARC chair refused to even look at them. This was never about the rules. This is about a personal dislike for pets." Then, she played her trump card. "The fines are now over $1,000. That's money that could have gone to local animal shelters. Instead, it's being used to punish me for keeping my cats safe." The segment aired that night at 6 p.m. The title was brutal. HOA declares war. On Whiskers, homeowner, fined for keeping cats safe. It featured every damning soundbite from Devi. Eyesore, chicken coop, glorified shack. It showed gorgeous slow-motion shots of Leo and Luna enjoying their Catio. Juxtaposed with the cold text of the violation notices, the public reaction was instant and nuclear. The takedown was not legal, but social, and it was utterly comprehensive. The social and professional takedown. The Oakhaven HOA's phone lines and email inboxes were flooded. Hundreds of angry messages poured in from across the city, from animal lovers, architects who praised the Catio's design, and even local realtors who went on record saying a well-built Catio *enhanced property value. The story was picked up by national pet blogs and even made a blip on the national news cycle. The HOA board, comprised mostly of reasonable people who had let Devi run amok, was thrown into panic mode. They were being portrayed as cartoon villains. The final confrontation, an emergency HOA meeting, was called. The community room was packed, not with Devi's usual sycophants, but with angry pet owners, sympathetic neighbours, and even a few local reporters. Maya sat quietly in the front row. The board president, a man named Mr. Henderson, who usually let Devi do whatever she wanted, spoke first. "Clearly, we have a public relations situation on our hands," he began, nervously. Devi, unable to read the room, stood up. "This is nothing but a media circus. We cannot cave to mob rule. The rules are clear. That structure must come down." A retired lawyer named Mr. Gable stood up. "Actually, the covenant gives the ARC the power to approve structures. It doesn't define what a structure is. A reasonable person could argue a Catio is a patio enclosure, which is permissible. Miss Whitlock's refusal to even consider the plans is a clear case of arbitrary and capricious enforcement." The room erupted in agreement. One by one, neighbours stood up. They weren't just defending Maya. They were airing years of grievances against Devi's petty tyranny, the $100 fine for a non-beige welcome mat, the rejection of a solar panel installation, the harassment over a child's lemonade stand. A vote was called to overturn the violation and rescind all fines against Maya. It passed unanimously. Then a second vote was called, a motion to remove Deborah Whitlock from the Architectural Review Committee. The ayes were a deafening roar. Devi gathered her things and fled the meeting, her face a mask of utter shock and humiliation. Her reign of terror ended not by a lawyer, but by a graphic designer and a news camera. The epilogue was a victory for common sense. The new ARC committee, led by the retired lawyer Mr. Gable, passed a specific amendment clarifying that enclosed pet patios, Catios, dogios, that are professionally built and match the home's aesthetic are permissible structures. Maya's design was grandfathered in and even used as the model example. Maya, inspired by the ordeal, started a small side business, Catio, by design. She used the platform she'd gained to help other pet owners in HOAs navigate the approval process for their own safe outdoor spaces. Leo and Luna became local celebrities, their Instagram account gaining thousands of followers. Deborah Whitlock became a local pariah. She was quietly dropped from her positions on various town committees. She was seen less and less, eventually putting her house on the market and moving away. A stark lesson in what happens when you pick a fight with a creative introvert. And her very photogenic cats dot the sound of construction. The gentle hammering and sawing of a new Catio being built for a neighbour's cats became a common and welcome sound in Oakhaven. It was no longer the sound of violation, but the sound of a community learning to bend its rules for kindness, safety, and a little bit of joy. This is what happens when you try to fight a battle against cute cats on the evening news. You will lose, every single time. If you're cheering for Maya, Leo, and Luna, hit that like button and let me know what you think of Catios in the comments. And remember to subscribe. Coming up next week, a homeowner gets a violation for not mowing his lawn while he's in the hospital. His brother, a landscape architect with a flair for the dramatic, handles the HOA's complaint in the most legendary way possible. Thanks for watching HOA Stories. Stay creative and be kind to animals.